Champ is here. Islam, как себя чувствуешь, брат?
Чё?
Как обстановка?
Вот как эта рыба.
Заряжен, да?
I feel like JDM was a dark horse. For him to take on a guy like Islam Makhachev, not steering away from that challenge.
I've picked him in every fight, and I'm going to pick him to beat Makhachev as well.
It could be two things. It could be a very, very boring fight.
I don't think it can be boring. I know it could be, where maybe Makhachev does stall it out, but I think if Makhachev does have an advantage in the grappling, and I think he will be able to use that into a finish.
UFC 322 is just a couple of weeks away, and Khabib Nurmagomedov has officially arrived in the US to join Islam Makhachev for the final stretch of his training camp. The former lightweight champion has been pushing Islam hard in preparation for his welterweight debut, ensuring every detail is sharp as Makhachev prepares to face Jack Della Maddalena.
Хорошо. Ислам, второй вопрос. Как проходит подготовка? Что нового в этой подготовке у тебя?
Все было
Чем
нормально.
отличается? Чем
Пока ты
отличается?
не приехал 2 дня назад, я начал отличаться.
Нормально отвечай. Давай.
Чем не отличается? Веса больше. Дирхамов весит 91 килограмм. Раньше я работал с пацанами, которые 84-83 весили максимум.
Понял. А как сгонка на этот раз?
В гонке даже не думаю. Жизнь изменилась.
Да.
Как на 77 пришел, да. Раньше всегда думал, на ужин где покушать, что покушать. Сейчас без разницы, лишь бы покушать.
Работаем.
Meanwhile, Henry Cejudo predicts a dominant win for Islam Makhachev at UFC 322. He questions what makes people think Jack Della Maddalena can compete with Islam, saying Makhachev is superior in every aspect, from fight IQ and control to conditioning and composure. Cejudo says he expects total dominance from Islam on November 15th.
Explain to me why he's better or why he's going to give Islam a good fight. I just don't see it. Striking, grappling, submissions, takedown defense, takedowns. I see total dominance from my brother, Islam Makhachev.
Kamaru Usman also admits he's rooting for Islam Makhachev, but doesn't expect an easy fight. He points out that Jack Della Maddalena has improved rapidly and shown great resilience in past performances. Usman believes the fight will be tough, but if anyone can make it look effortless, it's Islam.
It's not gonna be that easy. Jack has just gotten exponentially better in such a short time. I've watched him in a couple of fights. Spirit was never broke. It's gonna be difficult, but if someone can make it look straight up easy, Islam possesses the skills.
I'm hearing through the grapevines too that Islam Makhachev, he doesn't have that too many fights in his career. Remember, dude, Khabib Nurmagomedov retired young, bro. These guys will follow suit. You know why? They train like freaking maniacs. They train hard, bro. There's something different with Russians. They love leaving on top.
Moreover, Kamaru Usman finds the matchup between Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena fascinating. He praises Jack's rapid improvement and acknowledges Islam's proven skill set, saying both bring something special to the table. Usman recalls how many fans initially dismissed the fight as one-sided, but he now believes it will be much closer and more competitive than people first expected.
Islam versus JDM in the MSG. How do you think it will play out?
It's a very, very intriguing fight. JDM is growing at a rapid pace, and we all know what Islam possesses, and we know how good Islam is. So I'm intrigued about that fight. I don't think, because I feel like some people are kind of, initially when that fight was being announced, people were like, oh, this Islam's gonna do this, Islam's gonna take care of him, or JDM's too big. I think now we're starting to understand that that fight's gonna be a lot closer than we think.
On the other hand, Mario Bautista wants JDM to beat Islam, saying his heart leans toward Jack Della Maddalena getting the win over Islam Makhachev at UFC 322. He admits someone eventually has to beat one of the Dagestani fighters and believes Jack might be the one to do it, though he's curious to see how much bigger Islam will look at welterweight.
Islam Makhachev versus Jack Maddalena, who you got, Mario?
I'm gonna go with Jack on that one. Someone has to beat one of those guys.
God, are you taking Jack?
What's
Think
the
he
odds?
takes him out?
My heart says I want to go with Jack, but
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see how Islam, like, is he gonna be like just bigger and stronger at 170? And it probably cuts a lot to 55. I'm hoping Jack.
Demetrius Johnson called Jack Della Maddalena the dark horse heading into his fight with Islam Makhachev, praising his technical skill and the recent dominant win victories. He noted that many expected that bout to be dull, but it turned into a thrilling fight. Johnson credited JDM for not shying away from facing a dangerous opponent like Makhachev, adding that their size and skill levels make for an intriguing matchup. He said the fight could either turn into a slow, grappling-heavy contest or an all-out war, depending on how it unfolds.
The beating he put on Bilal Muhammad, being able to finish him and just out-jab him. A lot of people said that fight was going to be boring. It turned out to be a banger fight. For him to take on a guy like Islam Makhachev, not steering away from that challenge. Islam is coming up, so he's going to be, I feel like comparably size-wise, they're going to be about even, Islam's super good. JDM's got Craig Jones in the camp to, battle. And Volkanovski to battle that, Dagestan wrestling. It's going to be, it could be two things. It could be a very, very boring fight, or it could be a very, very exciting fight. Meaning by the way it could be boring is if Islam's able to take down JDM and get his back, hold him there, out grapple him, stop,
Demetrius Johnson explained that the fight could become dull if Islam Makhachev is able to take JDM down, control his back, and smother him on the ground. However, he praised JDM's ability to never settle for bad positions, pointing to his fight with Gilbert Burns, where he constantly scrambled and worked to get back up. Johnson highlighted JDM's strong anti-wrestling and relentless pace, calling it an exciting clash between the best at 155 and the best at 170, something he said doesn't happen often in the sport.
Stifle him. He could potentially do that, but the one thing I love about JDM when he fights is he never accepts the position. When he was fighting Gilbert Burns, great grappler, takes him down. Right when he gets up, he throws that knee into the void. Gilbert Burns ducks down into it. He runs into it. JDM doesn't accept the position when he gets taken down. He's always looking to grapple, always look at the anti-wrestle. That's what makes this fight exciting. And he's got some fucking good hands. He's not the way his boxing is, he's very tight. I'm excited for that fight just because we're seeing the best at 155 take on the best at 170. It's very rare when the moons align. Same thing at the co-main event. Shevchenko taking on Wei Li.
Let me have a turn in the main event.
Meanwhile, Jorge Masvidal believes Islam Makhachev is the most dominant ground fighter in MMA right now. He explained that once Islam takes the fight to the mat, no one can match his control or submission skills. Masvidal added that Makhachev also delivers punishing ground strikes, calling him a nightmare on the canvas, and using his dominant win over Charles Oliveira as clear evidence.
Islam Makhachev and Jack Magdalena.
I got Islam.
It's a good fight.
Yeah,
it's a good ass fight.
I think that's a really good fight for Islam. Islam's top control is different than Bilal. Like Islam.
Oh yeah, no, that 100%. I think he's the best guy on the ground, on the mat. Once it hits the mat, now nobody else has better ground control, submissions, just everything. On the ground, he's a real life nightmare. Strikes as well. He does damage. I would easily say Makhachev is the best ground fighter right now, especially after what he did to Charles Oliveira. What he's done to so many guys is crazy.
Jorge Masvidal questioned whether Islam Makhachev could deal with Jack Della Maddalena's size, athleticism, and strong defensive wrestling. He pointed out that Jack has proven difficult to take down in previous fights, but Islam's technical ability and judo sweeps set him apart. Masvidal felt that if Islam secured an early takedown, he could take control and wear Jack out, though he also viewed Jack as a unique threat. He praised Jack's striking, noting his fluid stance, switches, and sharp boxing make him one of the most skilled stand-up fighters in the UFC.
Is he going to be able to deal with the size and the defensive athleticism wrestling of Jack? Because Jack could wrestle pretty damn good defensively, and he showed out against Bilal. Bilal, I know, is not Islam with the technical savviness, especially up against the cage, because I feel like Islam has several degrees with his foot sweeps, his judo, a lot of the things that he does like really, really slick, so it could be early on in the fight. Islam could get you down and get you tired early, He's very, very good at doing that. But that being said, I think Jack is a threat he's never faced before. I think Jack, and to be honest with you, Jack has some of the best hands right now in the UFC, bar none. Like, I could see this guy throwing hands with anybody. He's not gonna have a problem. The way he switches stance, It's like he's a Terrence Crawford, man.
Furthermore, Usman Nurmagomedov predicts that Islam Makhachev will take Jack Della Maddalena down, wear him out, and dominate with top control. He points out that everyone knows what Islam plans to do, yet no one has been able to stop it. Usman adds that watching Islam chase the goal of becoming a two-division champion has inspired the entire team, as it's an achievement their gym has yet to accomplish.
How do you think Islam does against JDM?
They're gonna take him down, make him tired, hold him there, and after that, if you can finish him, if you can, by decision, you have to win. All people know what we're gonna do, but they can do nothing with that. And we're so excited for him because of two-time champion. In our gym, we don't have this guy, but Islam gonna be, inshallah.
However, Dan Hardy praises Jack Della Madalena's boxing, saying he has admired his striking for years and even labeled him the best boxer in MMA. Still, he believes Islam Makhachev is moving to welterweight at the perfect moment. Hardy explains that many fighters delay moving up and stunt their physical growth, while Islam is now letting his body develop naturally, which will make him stronger and more dangerous at 170 pounds.
Man, I've been high on JDM for a long time. You know, I remember doing interviews back when Ngannou was crossing over to boxing, and people were talking about who's got the best hands in MMA, and I was saying JDM at the time. I mean, his boxing's always impressed me, but at this point I feel like Islam's moving up a weight class at the right time. You know, there are a lot of fighters that stay in a weight class for too long, and they seem to kind of stifle their physical growth. I don't think Islam can stay healthy and stay in that lightweight division for any longer, and I think right now he's allowed himself to move into a division where his body's just going to grow into it. He's going to be incredibly powerful.
Dan Hardy thinks Islam Makhachev's all-around skill set will create problems for any opponent. He expects the striking exchanges to be close, with Islam gaining an edge through his kicks. As the fight wears on, Hardy predicts Makhachev's wrestling and grappling will take control, likely resulting in a submission finish in the later rounds.
And I just think Islam's all-round game is so problematic for any single fighter. I see him taking it, and I can see him probably a 50-50 striking exchange, Makhachev winning with a kicking advantage, but then he's grappling and his wrestling taking over, probably winning by sub in the championship round.
Jason Mayhem Miller calls Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena an intriguing, high-stakes matchup. He notes that Jack looks massive for the division, while Islam often appears drained from cutting weight. Miller believes the move-up could initially make Islam seem smaller until his body adjusts, but expects his wrestling to remain the deciding factor.
So who do you think takes that fight?
Usually, you know, my money is on the guy with the V at the end of his last name. And this might be a little different because we saw, oh, Jack is a big boy, like a hoss, really, for that weight class. I was like, oh my goodness, he looked like a battle toad. Like you just saw such a big man for that weight class. And Kazmat, he looks like he sucks to get down to that weight, you know, so going up, it's gonna be like he'll be a bit smaller depending upon how he puts the weight and whatever, and if there's been enough time between. But coming down to skill wise, it looks like the wrestling will be the big factor.
Jason Miller praises Jack Della Maddalena's defensive wrestling in his previous fight, noting how well he handled the takedown attempts, even if they weren't high level. He views that performance as a valuable warm-up ahead of facing Islam Makhachev. Miller believes MMA always allows room for evolution and expects Jack to show noticeable improvements in his wrestling, potentially entering the fight as a more refined and complete fighter.
Jack had excellent counter wrestling in that last match, but the takedowns were more straightforward. They were more, that was like kind of a tune-up for this fight. Now, look, the beauty of this sport is Jack can figure out some more details that he didn't have in that last fight, and even improve his wrestling by leaps and bounds, depending on who he trains with, and really like be a new fighter by the time he gets there.
Miller further predicts the fight will become a battle of endurance, with Islam Makhachev's relentless pace dictating the tempo. He expects it to start on the feet before transitioning into wrestling exchanges. Miller believes Jack Della Maddalena must make every moment physically demanding and look for knockout openings early in each round. He considers it a tightly matched fight and admits he's still unsure who he would favor to win.
The takedowns will become a factor, and then it'll be a conditioning test. Let's see who, you know, and the methodology of the Russians, I guess you'll call them, is that the grind is completely embraced. Like, that's where they thrive. So it will be early on sort of kickboxing contest with a couple of takedown attempts thrown in and like locking up against the cage. And then it will probably turn into, okay, now I really take a chance and wrestle him to the ground. Jack has to make every one of those a grisly grind. And then at the beginning of each round, let's go kickboxing full out. Like, try to get him, try to knock this man out. You know, it's a toss-up. I haven't really decided on who wins that fight. I need to do a little more research.
However, Belal Muhammad is very clear and predicted that Islam Makhachev would have an easy night if he managed to take Jack Della Maddalena to the ground. He explained that Makhachev's grappling is on a completely different level, while Jack often makes costly mistakes once the fight goes to the mat. Belal acknowledged Jack's strong scrambling ability, but pointed out that Islam's control leaves no room for opponents to create space or escape.
I mean, honestly, for me, it's full focus on Ian. If I'm looking at that fight, stylistically, I think if Islam gets to the ground, it's going to be a easy night. Islam's ground game is so good. And I think JDM makes a lot of mistakes on the ground. With this scrambling, he's very good at it, but I think that Islam doesn't let you scramble. So if you scramble, he's good at locking in chokes or locking in arm triangles. But you still got to get it to the ground first, right? So it's fun. It's going to be good to see how he is on the feet with JDM, who's kind of tricky. But I think if Islam gets to the ground, Islam will get his hand raised.
Belal Muhammad believes Islam Makhachev can dominate and finish Jack Della Maddalena on the ground. He explains that fighters unfamiliar with Dagestani wrestling usually struggle with its constant pressure and intensity. Belal adds that Islam's grappling is far beyond most in the division, while Jack still leaves gaps in his ground defense.
I mean, I think my mindset, I think Islam can finish him on the ground. For sure. And especially it's like we saw with DDP. If you never felt one of those Dagestani style wrestlers, like you don't want it to be your first time in the cage feeling it. And Islam and them, they have a different feel. They have a different type of grappling. So for JDM, even in our fight, he makes mistakes on the ground.
On the contrary, Chris Duncan expects Jack Della Maddalena will come out on top against Islam Makhachev. The Scottish lightweight admits Makhachev could have a sturdier chin at welterweight and recognizes his elite grappling, but notes that the fight remains difficult to predict given MMA's constant unpredictability.
And you're a big 155er, so you think Islam translates up to welterweight, or you think that's not going to work out against JDM?
No, I think JDM is going to beat him, to be honest. Obviously, Islam will have a little bit more of a chin at that weight class. But fuck, I don't know, man. The grappling of Islam is good. You know, he's not Belal Muhammad. You know, it's tough. It's tough, man. It's tough. You know, especially, you know, there's so many factors. That's why the betting odds are always so good on MMA, because you just don't know.
That wraps up everything from today's video. Let us know your thoughts and predictions on this matchup in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more updates on this thrilling showdown.